and welcome to this special show. We are calling it IT Salary Check, and what better than Labor Day to really talk about the increment blues that seem to be gripping the IT sector, because in the last week we've seen employees from TCS, from Capgemini taking to social media to really express displeasure about the kind of increments they've been handed out. While TCS employees spoke about single-digit hikes, Capgemini employees in fact ran a hashtag that was trending a couple of days back that says Capgemini betrays employees because they said they were given 0% to 0.5% hike. So what's really happening? Is this part of a larger industry trend? More importantly, is this going to be the new normal for a sector that's getting disrupted by trends such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, where growth is becoming more non-linear? Also remember, this is a sector that has a very huge base of employees. So is it really sustainable to keep giving hikes, keeping employees happy at such huge levels at a time when growth is contracting, margins are coming down? To really understand all of these concerns and possible solutions, we have a special show lined up, and I have three special guests. I have Vasumati, the president of the Forum for IT Employees. The FIT has really been in the forefront of fighting for the rights of IT employees in the last year. She joins me live from Chennai. We also have K. Sudarshan, the managing partner for EMA Partners India, joining us from Mumbai. And we also have Chris Lakshmikant from Headhunters to really give us an analyst and industry perspective on this pertinent issue. Vasumati, I'm going to start with you. Your membership cuts across IT companies. Is this restricted to TCS, Capgemini? Are you seeing these concerns coming from other IT companies as well, considering May, June is the time when we will see increment letters coming for employees? Is this part of a widespread trend that you're seeing this time around?
Yeah. I mean, we are seeing not only in TCS as well as Capgemini. We are seeing in most of the IT companies, that all top IT companies. So actually, at least, I mean, as I see this, TCS employees have received around, I think, average 5% hike. But there are companies, they have received no hike at all. Even they have gone through the job cuts and job reduction, all those things. Because these IT companies, they are doing a very clever approach of salary structure. It is like a bonus. So bonus is being decided based on, they claim it is based on the appraisal process. So whenever they want to reduce the bonus, simply they will say that you have not performed well, and they reduce the bonus. So every year the bonus is also getting reduced every year by year. So now there is no hike at all. So the hike is also reduced. Actually, I would like to appreciate Capgemini employees who have raised, Capgemini and TCS employees who have raised, collective voice in the social network. That's why I think we are discussing this topic now. So they should be appreciated for their collective voice, and at the same time, we should measure this concept in two ways. One is growth and development. So now what we see is only few employers, maybe at the top level, they are growing. There is no development at all in IT companies. So development, when it comes to development, that's what will bring the future of the companies. So only when the company is getting developed, then only the employees also can be happy with the development. So whenever there is a growth, obviously the employees cannot be happy at all. So this is the concept I think we should be debating on this show today.
Right. Vasumati, I just have a quick follow-up question. You said that, though employees of these two companies have been vocal in the last week, you're seeing this trend across other companies. Any names that you can share with us? Anything that we will hear in the coming week that FIT is planning to take up? Can you share more specific details?
Yeah, so actually recently we have filed many cases against Cognizant because there was a job cut going. I mean, they were terminating around around 10,000, 20,000 employees. So we have filed so many cases against Cognizant. So still those employees are fighting for their job back. So that is also is one of the one of the tactics these companies are following for their for no salary at all. So those employees, I mean, there won't be any appraisal process for those employees. So when there is no appraisal, there cannot be any hike. So I mean, we have to include Cognizant also in this list. And obviously there are other companies like Wipro and all other companies. Obviously, see, one company started doing something, the same trend the other companies will pick it up. There is no doubt at all, because I think so. All these concepts being discussed in NASSCOM, since all these companies are part of NASSCOM, obviously, so any companies being part of NASSCOM will pick up this concept, this policy of no hike at all.
Right. Sudarshan, comment on this. You know, you interact closely with the management of all these companies, with the HR departments. You know, what's really driving this trend? I mean, are companies to blame? Haven't they been able to identify enough projects for employees? Is growth a problem? Is this a temporary situation as they, you know, tide over this major disruption that they are seeing in digital and they adjust their strategy according to that? Or should we say that this is going to be the new normal for Indian IT? The fact, you know, that there are going to be perhaps hikes in the low to higher single digit, maybe double digit hike for high performers, but this is going to be the new normal.
So firstly, look, the business models for these companies are going through a huge disruption. You know, newer technologies are taking over, and companies are also trying to find their feet in terms of what next, right? So that is so companies are going through these challenges. So that is point number one. And second, I think in the last 15 years, all these companies have also hired in huge numbers. So today we also have a pretty bloated workforce, right? Today each of these IT majors carry over 2 lakh employees on their rolls. So it's not a small number of people what we are talking about, right? And thirdly, you know, with all the disruption which is happening around us, be it digital or machine learning and artificial intelligence and so on. So it is also, I think, the responsibility is, also on the side of the employees, so to say, in terms of how are they adding more value to the organization. How is the organization helping their employees, add more value? So it's not a simple, problem for which we have a solution overnight. So these are the 3 issues. And the fourth, if you look at it, the growth rates have also tapered off for all these large companies, because we are also talking of a large base already, which is if you look at these IT majors. So with the growth rates having tapered off, you will also find that the the increments are going to be tempered down, because we are also talking about cost competitiveness, productivity of your workforce, and so on and so forth. So and then look at the other factor, which is today, if you look at the overall inflation, which is about 4.5% to 5%, is where it's about, that's where it is trending. So we've also been, in the last 15 years, we've grown up in an environment where we've go ahead. Yeah. Okay.
Sudarshan, just 1 minute. I think Basumati has a counter, so I'm just quickly going to go to her. Basumati, you have a response to what Sudarshan said.
Yeah, he has mentioned that the growth of the company is something nil, very less. That's what he has mentioned. But if you look at the, figure, numbers, if that is a statistics, right? We should talk with the statistics. If you take the company, consider the company Capgemini, their profit is, this year profit is around $3,000 million. That is comparatively 8% of the growth they have achieved this year. But what is their employees have got? Have they got the similar, at least average of that hike? No. Their employees have received only 0 to 0.5% of hike. That means average is 0.25% of hike of average they have received, but their employer has got, employer of Capgemini have received 8% of their profit.
Basumati,
so where is the growth of the employees and where is the growth of the employer?
Right. You know, I'll have to interrupt you. Nobody is denying that these companies are profitable. I mean, the top IT companies in India still have margins of over 20%. But you have to admit that historically, if you look at the kind of growth rates that, you know, they had a few years back to now, it has been coming down. There is no denial in that. You can see it from the industry projections that NASSCOM is giving. You can see it from the net addition of employees. And you can see it based on, you know, the fact that their growth is becoming more non-linear. So while one is not denying that these are profitable companies, I think the margins, the rate of growth is coming down, from a few years, from say 20%, 15% levels that we saw a few years back to single digit growth rates now. I want to bring in Mr. Chris Lakshmikant at this point. So where is the fault here? You know, Sudarshan is talking about an industry-wide trend where growth is coming down for companies. They're obviously constrained by that. And Vasumati is saying that, you know what, these companies are still very profitable. Why aren't employees getting a share of that? And I think wage costs account for more, over 50% of costs for most IT companies. So where do you think the fault lies here?
Chandra, there has been seismic changes in the industry. It's a fundamental change which has happened. A quantum change has happened. And like we started with mainframes, then we went to servers, .com, e-com, and now we are in the digital age. In the digital age, a lot of things are happening which have changed the whole thing. For instance, I was looking at the TCS numbers. Take TCS. TCS in the 2013 had 2,76,000 people, and they were adding on net addition of 10% people year on year. But last year, that is 2018 ending March, they have added only 2% more of employees, and bulk of this strength has gone up in the US, not in India. What it means is that the Indian employees who are there in India, their numbers are going to go down, and it is not only with TCS, it is happening in Infosys, it is happening in CTS and so on. Secondly, if you look at the overall market size, today Capgemini is compared in terms of margins with Infosys or a TCS. Infosys has about 52% of their cost turnover as cost, salary costs. In case of Capgemini, it is 62%. So as a shareholder, I will ask the question, why is Capgemini paying more to their employees? This is where the management of Capgemini is looking at it. They have almost become an Indian company. If you look at it, out of the 200,000 employees, 100,000 are in India, and they are adding more people in India. So it's a question of balance. Do we add more people in India? If so, do we pay them more, or do we keep the people in India, pay them along with inflation and pay them bonuses? And that is what a decision somebody in Capgemini has taken. We will see it happen in Accenture, we will see it happen in other companies too. It is not going to change. It's a fundamental change, and we have to live with it.
Okay, fundamental change, we have to live with it because of the seismic changes in the industry. That's the view coming in from Chris Lakshmikant, and it sort of echoes what Sudarshan was also saying. But take a break and come back on this very pertinent issue, because what are the solutions going forward? Is the onus on employees alone, or do companies really have to take steps to ensure that employees adapt themselves to these changes, to the changes in digital? We come back and explore those questions on the other end of this special show. Welcome back to this special show, IT Salary Check. I'm going to go to Sudarshan to explore one other part. Sudarshan, you know, the criticism often is that, you know, employees at the fresher level, at lower levels, are forced to bear the brunt of these transformative changes, but it doesn't seem to percolate to mid-management at higher levels. Why isn't this moderation in salary hike or moderation in bonuses, in the variable payouts reflected in senior and top levels? Is it, you know, is there parity there, or are employees who are just starting to begin their career 2-3 years down the line forced to bear the brunt of all these changes that you've been talking about?
See, I think it's a perception issue, Chandra, because I would think that because, there is always somebody or the other who feels victimized in this entire thing. So let's just roll back, say about 8-10 years back, and when employees were generally hopping jobs, with one company offering even 10%, 20%, 30% more, they would just happily hop jobs, right? So why is that today? If you look at across all these companies, attrition rates have come down at every level. So we have to look at the entire business environment. You look at what value each one is adding to the organization, and then I don't understand why is that there has to be unionism when you're talking about because it seems to be like one-way traffic, because you have to look at the overall look at the situation in the marketplace, and then we are also dealing with large number of employees. So there has to be a balance in this discussion. While I agree, but it's also, just to add to your point, Chandra, it is just not the IT sector. If you look at every other sector, the increases have all tapered down to about 5-6% or 7%, because it's just not the IT sector which is going through this challenge, because the overall cost base has gone up for companies, not only in the technology sector, but even you look at manufacturing, or you look at any other sector for that matter, life sciences, pharmaceuticals. So everywhere the increases are going to be in the region, and if you internationally, the norm is that people don't get year-on-year increases. You may have more variable pay which will kick in year on year, but the average salary increases have always been 1% or 2% in most markets, and mostly employees make up with, if there is a change in a role, or if you're talking of a change in your responsibility, or there is a promotion and so on and so forth, then there is an increase in compensation. But otherwise, you don't find a situation where every year you actually expect a double-digit increment, and so that I think that's just not going to be the way forward, because we have to live in a world where the new norm is going to be that we are going to talk about 4 to 6% annual increase, and many industries where there is going to be a large scale disruption, you should be thankful that there are jobs today.
Right. Vasumati, I'm sure you have a counter to that. Sudarshan is saying, be thankful you have jobs, considering the disruption we are seeing and the huge number of employees that IT companies have. So between having a job and getting 5-6% hike, to not getting a double-digit hike, which is the best option here?
Yeah. See, let me answer his question. Actually, Mr. Sudhakar was mentioning about unionization. Actually, he was saying that he was kind of sounding that unionization was kind of crime. But we should understand that unionization is just a kind of collective voice. For even now today, we are discussing this topic because Capgemini employees as well as TCS employees have collectively raised their voice in a social network. Right, otherwise we would not be talking on this subject. So unionization is nothing but collectively raising the voice, that's it. If unionization is wrong, then NASSCOM also is wrong, right? NASSCOM is also union of the IT companies, that is also wrong. When we cannot say, okay, employers can have their own union, employees cannot have their own union, we cannot say that, right? That is morally not right, first of all. Second thing is, like, see, when the company is making single digit profit, employees are not expecting 2 digits hike. We are also expecting a single digit hike. Where is that? That is the question. As I mentioned, Capgemini has made 8% of hike. At least it is a kind of sharing model, right? That's what we are saying. We are saying that IT companies are a very transparent. They are sharing their profit with the employees, all those things, right? Where is the employees share? How come employees can get 0% hike when the company has received 8% hike? That is maybe, I think, and again I would like to emphasize that when the company is not making 2-digit growth, we are not expecting 2-digit growth. That is unfair, I feel, to some extent. And another thing is, he was comparing about the foreign countries. Okay, if you compare the work style of foreign countries, they work only for 8 hours, but in IT industry, working hours doesn't matter at all, never matters. I have seen people, they work 20 hours a day.
Right.
I mean, at least 18 hours, 19 hours, 20 hours at times. So where are we? How are we comparing? And one more thing, in IT in abroad, they have a strong union support. Yeah, anybody can live. I mean, if an employee wants to be a developer for his
Right, right.
whole
Basmati, we are running out of time.
he or she can be a developer.
Right. I get your point there, valid point that your expectations are in line with what the company is posting. I'm going to get the final word in from Chris Lakshmikant. Sir, so what is the solution here? Is the onus on the companies? Is the onus on employees to adapt themselves to this new normal? Because I mean, where is the solution in all this? Companies are talking about potential in digital, potential in growth going forward. Where does that leave the employees then? Because employees have accounted for a major part of the growth process so far. Growth has been linear. Now suddenly you're seeing this trending towards non-linear. Where does that leave these millions of IT employees, millions of techies in India?
Madam, let us also look at the external environment. We are in an election year in India. So to some extent the layoffs which we are talking of last year is not happening. But if you look at the increments being given or not given, it is an indirect expression of that. My personal feeling is that the industry is having 10% more employees than what they need, and it will happen maybe at the end of next year, when after the elections are over, these companies will start cutting. Now whether they are cutting is morally right, I am not the person to talk about it, but the fact is we are got to be competitive in the international world, and if we are going to do it, we have to be internationally competitive, number one, not only everywhere but also in terms of salaries. Secondly, if you look at it, the IT was, I was reading in your thing that IT is a preferred employer. I doubt it is any longer a preferred employer. People are getting disenchanted with IT, and let us face it, any industry will go through a steep curve and then it will stabilize and start coming down, and that is what is happening to IT. We have to face it. You are also talking about what is happening to the people in the middle management and the senior management. In fact, the people in the middle management are not getting salary increases at all in the IT sector. Most of them are being, many of them are being asked to go, because we receive a lot of resumes from them, we know it. Even the IT top people, they are also under pressure to perform. So overall the industry is under pressure. It is not going to change. The fundamental industry has changed. The same companies are also willing to give, for a person who is digitally qualified, they can give him a 30-40% hike. But if you are talking of a ordinary vanilla software industry person, you will get maybe a 0 to 0.5% increase.
Right. On that note, we are completely out of time. But I want to tell you, sir, that the fact that a majority of Indian workforce still prefer to work in the ITES sector is according to Randstad research. So that's data point. But there is no denying that the IT industry, you can throw whatever brickbats you want at it. It's still the largest private sector employer in India. And wage-wise, it's led to a lot of wealth creation among the Indian middle class. I guess that's why increments at IT companies, layoffs at IT companies gets talked about and discussed so much. Perhaps this is the new normal. Perhaps employees will have to make adjustments. We don't know. We'll have to see in the coming months. But on that note, thank you all so much for joining us on this special edition of IT Salary Check. Tune in to ET Now for more news and updates.